Let me tell you something right now. You will never rise higher than the way you see yourself. I don't care how talented you are, how gifted, how many degrees you got. If your mind is stuck at the bottom, your life will stay there too. You can have all the talent in the world, but if your mind is locked in doubt, fear, and small thinking, you will never go beyond the boundaries you built for yourself. Your mindset is the foundation of everything. It's not your environment, your upbringing, or even your current situation that controls your potential. It's the way you think about yourself. That voice in your head, that's the real driver. If it keeps saying, I can't, then no matter how much talent you have, you'll never even start. Too many people are waiting for outside validation before they believe they can achieve something. They want someone else to see the greatness in them first, but it doesn't work like that. The world responds to what you show it. Well, if you walk around believing you're not enough, that belief leaks into everything you do. It shows up in the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you chase your goals or don't. You start playing small, second guessing every move, turning down opportunities, not because you aren't capable, but because your mindset told you you're not ready. That's why your mindset is the ceiling on your life. It determines the level you operate on. If you believe you're meant to live an average life, you'll make average decisions, you'll have average expectations, and you'll settle for average outcomes. But if you start seeing yourself as powerful, valuable, and capable of impact, then the way you live changes. You'll start taking risks. You'll move different. You'll raise your standards. Most people think the grind is physical. They think it's about how many hours you work, how much energy you spend. But the real grind, the real hustle, it starts in the mind. The toughest battles are the mental ones. Getting up in the morning when you don't feel like it. Pushing yourself when your emotions are trying to pull you back into comfort. Choosing discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure. None of that happens unless your mindset is locked in on something greater. You've got to understand, your thoughts are building your future in real time. Every time you say, I can't, you're laying a brick in the wall that separates you from your purpose. Every time you say, this is too hard, you're stacking another limit on top of your potential. But if you flip it, if you start saying, I will find a way, I was made for this, I am more than my struggle, you begin building a new foundation, a higher one that supports growth, confidence, and action. The difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck isn't always talent. It's not luck, it's mindset. Successful people see challenges as opportunities. They don't crumble under pressure, they rise. They don't run from failure, they learn from it. They believe in themselves so deeply that even when the world says a no, they keep moving. That's what mindset does. It gives you internal permission to pursue what looks impossible to everyone else. Your mindset shapes your reality. Two people can go through the exact same storm. Same loss, same pain, same setback, but one comes out bitter, the other better. Why? Because of how they interpreted it. Because of the way they chose to think. One saw it as the end. The other saw it as a test. One blamed life. The other built strength. And that choice, that monumental decision, that's where greatness began. Some of you have been trapped by thoughts that were never yours to begin with. You've been living under the weight of someone else's opinion. Someone who said you'd never make it. Someone who laughed at your dream. And over time, you started believing them. You accepted a small vision of yourself because it was easier than proving them wrong. But the truth is, their voice is loud only because yours has been quiet. It's time to take back control of the narrative playing in your head. Changing your life doesn't start with money, connections, or miracles. It starts with mindset. It starts with how you see yourself when nobody else is watching. It starts with the conversations you have with yourself when things go wrong. If those conversations are filled with doubt and defeat, then don't be surprised when your life reflects that. But if those conversations are rooted in strength, in hope, in purpose, then your reality will start to shift. Belief is not something you borrow from others. It's something you build brick by brick, moment by moment through daily discipline and intentional thought. You don't have to feel confident to start. You just have to decide that you're worth more than playing small. You have to get fed up with being average. You have to choose to see yourself as someone who deserves to win. And that choice begins in the mind. That choice creates the path. The past has a way of attaching itself to you like a shadow, always trying to remind you of who you were instead of who you're becoming. But the truth is, your past is not your identity. It's a chapter, not the whole book. It's a lesson, not a label. You've made mistakes. You've fallen short. You've had moments you're not proud of, but so has every single person who's ever done anything worth remembering. The difference is, some people choose to grow from it and others choose to stay in it. You have the power to decide which one you'll be. Too many people are living today based on the guilt and shame of yesterday. They wake up every morning rehearsing what went wrong, what they lost, who hurt them, or how they failed. And because their mind is focused on what happened, they never step into what could happen. Yeah. The past becomes a prison, and the door is wide open, but they're still sitting inside. Not because they're locked in, but because they haven't realized they can walk out. You are not your lowest moment. You are not your biggest failure. You are not the version of yourself who broke down, gave up, or got it wrong. That version of you was in survival mode. That version of you didn't have the tool, the perspective, or the strength that you're starting to develop now. And even if you feel like you're still struggling, the fact that you're here fighting for better means you've already outgrown who you were. People will try to define you by your past because it's easier than accepting your growth. They'll say you'll never change. You've always been like this, or you're not capable of more. But they don't get to write your story. They don't know what you've been working on behind closed doors. They don't see the progress happening in silence. And even if they never change their opinion, that doesn't mean you have to carry their judgment like it's true. Growth doesn't mean the past disappears. It means you look at it differently. It means you stop seeing it as a reason to stay small and start using it as a reason to go harder. Every scar, every failure, every moment of regret, those are not signs of weakness. They're signs of survival. They're proof that you've been through fire and made it out the other side. And the fire didn't burn you, it built you. There's a lie. A lot of people believe that because they messed up once, or even many times, they missed their chance, that their window closed, that their dream is over. But life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't stop offering a new beginning just because you stumbled in the first few chapters. As long as you're breathing, you've got more pages to write. You've got new strength to discover, new purpose to unlock, new victories waiting with your name on them. But none of that becomes real until you stop dragging the weight of yesterday into today. Forgiveness plays a big part in this. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. You can't heal if you keep punishing yourself for who you used to be. At some point, you have to say, I did the best I could with what I knew, and now I know better. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's maturity. That's strength. And when you truly forgive yourself, you take away the power that regret used to have over you. It's easy to feel stuck when your mind keeps replaying the past on repeat. But you have to realize your brain is just doing what it's been trained to do. If you've been focusing on your mistakes for years, your mind is going to keep bringing them up. But the same way you trained your mind to look backward, you can train it to look forward. It's not easy. It takes time, but it's possible. Every day you wake up and choose to speak life into your future instead of death from your past, you're taking control back. Your past happened, but it's not happening anymore. You don't live there. You don't belong there. Everything you've experienced has brought you to this point, and now it's your job to decide what comes next. You can either keep identifying with the pain, or you can use it as fuel. You can either keep seeing yourself as broken, or you can choose to see yourself as becoming whole. The world will try to remind you of your worst moments, but you've got to keep reminding yourself of your growth, of your potential, of the power you gained by surviving what was meant to destroy you. Your past is proof that you've been through something. It's also proof that you made it. And if you made it through that, imagine what you can do when you stop looking back and finally give yourself permission to move forward. That self-perception is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It's not just how you look at yourself. It's how you carry yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you show up in the world. The way you see yourself determines the energy you bring into every room. It determines what you go after, what you settle for, and what you believe you deserve. When you see yourself as small, unworthy, or incapable, you unconsciously lower your standards. You begin to accept less, dream less, and do less. But when you begin to see yourself as powerful, valuable, and deserving of success, everything changes. You walk differently when you believe you belong. You speak differently when you trust that your voice matters. You make decisions differently when you know that your future is not limited by your past. This is why self-perception matters, because the world doesn't move based on what's true about you. It moves based on what you believe is true about you. If you see yourself as someone who always fails, you'll find a way to sabotage success. If you see yourself as someone who can't lead, you'll hesitate every time leadership is required. But if you start to see yourself as someone who has value, insight, and potential, that belief begins to create your reality. Most people wait for success to feel confident. They think, once I get the job, once I lose the weight, once I have the money, then I'll feel better about myself. But it doesn't work like that. Confidence comes before the breakthrough. Identity shapes behavior. If you keep seeing yourself as broken, as a just average, as someone who doesn't have what it takes, then that will leak into every area of your life. You won't apply for that opportunity. You won't ask for that promotion. You won't speak up when your moment comes. Not because you aren't ready, but because your perception told you that you weren't. Everything you do is filtered through the lens of how you see yourself. If your lens is dirty, if it's clouded by shame, insecurity, or fear, then even when life gives you a clear path, you won't see it. You'll second guess it. You'll doubt it. And in that doubt, you delay your own destiny. But if you clean that lens, if you start to rebuild your inner image, you'll begin to notice doors where you used to see walls. You'll find solutions where you once saw setbacks. That shift doesn't start outside. It starts with self-perception. That sometimes the greatest battle isn't with the world, it's with the mirror. You look at yourself and you remember all the times you failed, all the times you quit, all the things they said about you that made you feel small. And you carry those moments like evidence that you're not enough. But you've got to learn to separate truth from memory. Just because it happened doesn't mean it defines you. And just because someone said it doesn't mean it's real. You are not bound to the lowest version of yourself. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to evolve. And you are allowed to see yourself as someone who can rise above what they once were. That you will never reach higher than the level of your self-perception. If you think you're only good enough for mediocrity, you will settle there. If you believe that greatness is only for those kinds of people, you'll never step into your own greatness. But if you start telling yourself a new story, if you start speaking to yourself with belief instead of doubt, you'll start unlocking potential you didn't even know you had. Because the truth is, you've always had the power. You've just been seeing yourself through the wrong lens. People will try to put labels on you. Lazy, unmotivated, not good enough. And if you're not careful, you'll wear those like they're facts. You'll walk around shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you are. But the moment you decide to tear those labels off and start defining yourself from the inside out, everything begins to shift. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You don't need approval to show up like you belong. You just need to make the decision that you're no longer going to see yourself as anything less than capable. That every time you look in the mirror and choose to speak life, you're rewriting your story. Every time you push past fear and take action anyway, you're proving your self-perception wrong. Every time you raise your standard, step into the room and say, I deserve to be here, you're creating a new pattern in your mind. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's alignment. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about knowing that you're powerful even with your imperfections. Your life will always follow the direction of your belief. If you want different results, you have to start with a different self-image. That image needs to be rooted in truth, not trauma, in purpose, not pain, in possibility, not limitation. Because the most important opinion you will ever believe about yourself is your own. Transformation doesn't happen in comfort. If you want to become something you've never been, you're going to have to go through things you've never gone through. That's the price of growth. It's not neat. It's not painless. It's not always inspiring. Sometimes it's ugly, confusing, frustrating, and heavy. But it's necessary. If you're serious about changing your life, then you need to understand that part of that process involves destroying the old version of you. The version that's been surviving, not thriving. The The version that's been living in fear, playing it safe, and shrinking to fit in that too many people try to evolve without letting go of who they used to be. They want the results of change, but they don't want the discomfort of becoming someone new. You can't hold on to your old mindset and expect to walk into a new season. You can't cling to your insecurities and expect confidence to bloom. Something has to be let go. Something has to die. And sometimes that thing is your comfort zone, your ego, your fear of judgment, or your attachment to being liked. The process of leveling up will ask you to lay down the very parts of you that feel the most familiar. It's easy to romanticize growth. We love the end result, the success, the transformation, the applause, but few talk about the breaking that happens in the middle. The truth is, real change will stretch you until it hurts. It will pull you out of places that feel safe and force you into spaces that feel uncertain. It will reveal your flaws, expose your excuses, and confront you with your own limitations. Not to shame you, but to show you what's been holding you back. It's like renovation. Before the new walls go up, the old ones have to come down. And that demolition, it's loud, it's messy, but it's part of the blueprint that sometimes you have to burn the bridge back to who you used to be. You have to shut the door on habits, environments, and even relationships that no longer support the vision you have for your life. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. You're not abandoning people or betraying your past. You're choosing to evolve, and not everyone will understand that. Some will question your change, criticize your decision, or try to pull you back into the box they're comfortable with. But your job is not to make everyone comfortable. Your job is to become who you were created to be. When you start stepping into your potential, everything that's not aligned with that version of you will start to fall away. It might feel like loss, but it's really refinement. The things that break off during the process were never meant to go where you're headed. They were weights, not wings. Not wings. And yes, letting go of it might hurt. You might grieve your old life, your old mindset, your old patterns. But in that grief, something powerful happens. You make space for new habits, new thoughts, new opportunities, and most importantly, a new identity rooted in growth, not survival. Transformation isn't just about doing new things. It's about becoming someone new. And becoming someone new means unlearning. It means shedding beliefs that once protected you, but now limit you. It means questioning the stories you told yourself about what's possible, about what you deserve, about who you are. That's not easy. That takes courage. Because you're not just changing behavior, you're rebuilding identity. And in that rebuilding process, there are moments of silence. Moments where you don't recognize yourself. Moments where you feel like nothing's working. But those are the moments that matter most. That's where character is formed. That's where grit is developed. That's where the real foundation is laid. You have to be willing to face the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. The excuses, the blame, the fear, the insecurity. Growth doesn't happen when you hide from them. Growth happens when you confront them, challenge them, and dismantle them. One thought at a time, one choice at a time. And yes, it's painful. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's also powerful. Because every time you choose progress over comfort, you're training your mind to lead, not follow. You're telling yourself, I'm not a prisoner of who I was. I'm a student of who I was. I'm a student of who I'm becoming. This process is not about perfection for me. It's about persistence. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns. Days when doubt gets loud and motivation runs low. But that's part of the demolition. The old has to shake before it breaks. The foundation has to be tested before it can be trusted. And once you break through those walls, once you see what's on the other side of resistance, you'll realize that the pain was not punishment. It was preparation. Every uncomfortable moment was shaping you, stretching you, sharpening you. Sharpening you, you were not being torn down, you were being rebuilt. Growth is not a smooth, polished process. It's not some perfect upward curve where everything makes sense and every step forward feels good. Real growth is messy. It's uncomfortable. It's hard. It comes with pain, physical, emotional, mental, and sometimes it feels like you're being pulled apart. But that pain is not something to avoid or fear. It's a necessary part of the journey. The very discomfort that makes you want to quit is the same discomfort that's trying to build you into someone stronger. The pain of growth is the price you pay for becoming more than you used to be. You don't get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by pressing through it. Muscles don't grow without tension, and neither do people. You're not going to build confidence, character, or purpose by staying where it's safe. Every time you push past what's easy, every time you show up when it's hard, you're growing. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's exhausting. But the pain you feel from growth is a sign that you're moving, that something inside of you is expanding, evolving, breaking out of its old limitations. Too many people run from pain. They think that if it hurts, it must not be right. But that's not always true. Sometimes pain is a sign that you're finally confronting the things you've been avoiding. Sometimes it's proof that you stopped running from your potential. Pain has a way of stripping away the distraction. It forces you to focus. It forces you to decide what really matters. It tests your commitment. It asks you, are you serious? Or are you just saying you want change? Because if you're serious, you're going to have to go through some things. You're going to have to be uncomfortable for a while. The pain of growth is different from the pain of staying stuck. Staying stuck might feel safe for a moment, but over time, it starts to rot your spirit. You feel the weight of missed opportunities, of knowing deep down that you're capable of more, but choosing to play small. That pain is silent. It eats at you slowly. It shows up as regret. It shows up as resentment. It shows up as a quiet voice inside that said, you could have done more. You were made for more. That kind of pain never pushes you forward. It just keeps you trapped. But the pain of growth, even though it's hard, is a forward-moving pain. It's the pain of progress. The pain that builds. The pain that leads to transformation. There are going to be seasons where growth feels like loss. You'll lose comfort, people, habits, and even pieces of your old identity. And in those moments, it will be tempting to go back, to shrink, to numb yourself, to pretend you don't want more. But that's where growth is won or lost. Not in the big dramatic moments, but in those quiet, everyday decisions where you choose purpose over ease, where you choose to stay in the fire a little longer because you know what's on the other side is worth it. That pain will make you question everything. It will make you wonder if it's all worth it. It will make you doubt yourself, your path, your timing. But pain also reveals truth. It shows you what you're made of. It brings things to the surface that you couldn't see before. It exposes weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It breaks patterns that were keeping you in cycles. Growth pain isn't cruel, it's clarifying. It pulls back the layers and says, this is what needs to change if you're going to go where you say you want to go. There will be days you want to quit. Days when the process feels overwhelming. Days when you look around and wonder why it feels like you're the only one struggling. The only one struggling. But that's part of it. Growth is lonely sometimes. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something rare. Most people settle. Most people choose the path of least resistance. But if you're chasing growth, if you're chasing purpose, you're not most people. You're going to walk past others won't walk, and that walk comes with pain. But it also comes with power. It comes with resilience. It comes with a version of you that you've never met before, one that can only be revealed through struggle. No one talks about the part of growth where you feel like you're falling apart, where you cry in silence, where your strength feels like it's breaking under the pressure. But that breakdown is often where the breakthrough begins. When everything is stripped away, when nothing is left but you and your will to keep going, that's where your real foundation is built. That's where you stop performing for others and start building something real for yourself. You realize you don't need approval, applause, or ease. You need courage. You need discipline. You need the kind of inner strength that only comes from walking through fire and refusing to be burned. You can't keep waiting for someone else to believe in you before you start. You can't keep putting your future in the hands of other people's approval. Too many people are waiting for validation, waiting for someone to notice them, recognize them, encourage them before they finally step into their potential. But the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you your dream. And that's not a reason to feel defeated. That's a reason to get fired up because it means you don't have to wait. You can start building right now from wherever you are with whatever you have. With whatever you have, that the world doesn't owe you anything, and that's a gift. That means every inch you move forward is yours. Every victory you earn, every breakthrough you fight for, every success that comes your way, you built that. You did that. And when you stop waiting for permission and start trusting your own voice, you become dangerous. Because a person who believes in themselves can't be controlled by fear. A person who takes ownership of their journey can't be manipulated by doubt. They've made the decision that they're not going to sit on the sidelines of their own life anymore. It's not that people don't care. It's that they're focused on their own journey. They're worried about their own problems, their own fears, their own future. So if you're expecting someone to constantly remind you of your worth, you'll be disappointed. You have to become your own source of belief. You have to become your own coach, your own hype team, your own support system. That's not selfish survival, because you're not always going to get applause. You're not always going to get encouragement, but you still have to move. You still have to act. You still have to show up like it's possible, even when no one else sees it yet. There will be seasons where it feels like nobody understands what you're trying to do. You'll share your vision and people will look at you sideways. They'll tell you to be realistic. They'll tell you to lower your standards. They'll tell you it's too hard, too risky, too late. But that's because they don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. The vision was given to you. It lives in your heart. So stop expecting them to get it. Stop needing their agreement to start. Their disbelief doesn't cancel your call. You got to take responsibility for your life. No more blaming your past. No more pointing fingers. No more waiting for the right time, the right people, the right moment. The time is now. The power is in your hand. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can control your discipline, your attitude, your work ethic. You can control whether you keep going or give up. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And when you start seeing yourself as the one who can change your life, everything begins to shift. You are the one who has to wake up early when no one's watching. You are the one who has to push through when you're tired, discouraged, or uncertain. You are the one who has to decide that you're not going to quit this time. You are the one who has to choose progress over pity. That's the truth. And it's hard, but it's also empowering. Because when you stop outsourcing your power, you stop giving it away. You stop waiting for someone else to come fix what's broken and start realizing you have the tool to rebuild from the ground up. That nobody else can do the work for you. They can inspire you, sure. They can motivate you. They can even help you along the way. But they can't wake up and live your life. They can't step into your purpose. They can't fight your battles. That's your job. That's your path. And the sooner you take ownership of that, the sooner you start unlocking the strength that's been waiting inside you all along. Because strength doesn't show up before the battle, it gets revealed during the fight. So many people are looking for the shortcut, the secret, the strategy. But the truth is, the greatest strategy you'll ever use is consistency, discipline, showing up when it's boring, showing up when it's hard, showing up when no one claps. That's where greatness is built, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, not in the excitement, but in the repetition. And when you commit to that, when you decide that you're going to be the one to change the trajectory of your life, you stop waiting and you start working. You stop complaining and you stop building. You stop looking for someone to carry you and you start carrying yourself. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. That's what separates potential from power. That's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who take action. So now the choice is yours. Now you can keep waiting for the right time, the right people, the perfect moment, or you can decide that this is the moment, right now. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. What you need is the courage to look in the mirror and say, I'm done playing small. I'm done doubting my worth. I'm done waiting for someone to save me. From this day forward, you take the lead. You set the tone, you build the life. Because the moment you change the way you see yourself is the moment everything else begins to change.